today we are going to look at some places where you can go and buy over-the-counter tax deeds quickly. And before we do that, we're going to bring in the master himself, Mr. Josh Blanchard. How you doing, Josh?
Hello, howdy. Happy to be here.
Excellent. So yesterday we did a live and we talked about 3 amazing places to find some over-the-counter tax deeds. Easiest way to start finding these, obviously you need a map. So we have a map that we've provided. I'm just going to come over here right now and you see my screen. So the easiest thing to do is on our site, Tax Lien School, if you click on this Knowledge Vault button up here, we have a fully comprehensive map. And Minnesota is a treasure chest of over-the-counter tax deeds. So you can come over here and it is a totally free site and resource. Find these properties and find them quickly. So all you'll do is come over here, click on, we're going to go to Minnesota. We're going to click here. We're going to click here to learn more about Minnesota. And what we want to do is we want to see what's going on in Minnesota. We want to go through the counties. So Minnesota has 87 counties. And remember, all of the tax deed states can have a chance of having over-the-counter properties. And these are properties that didn't sell at the tax deed sale. So, sorry, I said 87 states, but it's 87 counties in the state of Minnesota. And from here, you can learn the basics. But what we want to do, say, for example, this county here on the left-hand side, if you click on it, we have resources for the county. So you can come over, you can get the details, or maybe it's Ramsey County. But the most important thing you want to be doing is getting the phone number and then calling them and getting the list. So we're going to go through a few lists here in a minute, but for everybody who wants to find some of these, come over to the Tax Lien School Knowledge Vault and start to dive in. So we'll go into a few of those here momentarily. Josh, do you want to share kind of your thoughts here on over-the-counters, and then we'll continue the show?
Yeah, so the other day we looked at West Virginia, and West Virginia, what they've got is a 18-month redemption period. And so we highlighted that yesterday. And there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of parcels that are available right now. And so anything you find that is 2021, 2022, and then even 2023 is pretty much going to be ready there to get foreclosed on right away. And so this is a place where not a lot of people know about. And a lot of times you can just make an offer and make the lowest offer that's possible, not that they're willing to accept, which is generally the back taxes. So we covered West Virginia yesterday. And so something great to keep in mind is that if other people cannot find it easily, if other people cannot just get on the internet and search it and get access to a list, that's going to be an even more valuable list. So there's a few lists that we got where we actually had to pay for the list. One time it was like 15 cents per record. It didn't end up being like too much because there wasn't a whole lot that was there, but that could certainly add up. And there's other times that we've actually had to sign, like we had to notarize a document saying that we would not mark it to the list. And so that's just the more barrier to entry, the better. And so like Florida, for instance, if you just type in Florida over-the-counter tax liens, Florida over-the-counter tax deeds, you're going to find a lot of stuff. But pay attention to the counties that don't actually have a list available online. And those are going to be even better places to go because nobody else is going to have access to those lists.
Nice. All right. So as Josh pulls up some Philly information, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mention some counties in Minnesota that are really good. So I like Minnesota for over-the-counter properties. And the reason that is because there's a lot of smaller counties in Minnesota that you can go and they have the lists available right now. So a couple things you can do. You can either go to like a ChatGPT or Google and just sort it by the smallest populated counties and start calling them. But the other thing we do to make it super simple is below this video is a link to the tax deed directory. So everybody can grab a copy of it and simply just pull up Minnesota. And we have the phone numbers and the websites for all of the tax deed counties. So these things are available literally today. Now, it won't be in every single county, but you get the phone number. And this is what I did when I got started was I just got the list of phone numbers. I called them up old school, and you want to ask the following questions. Say, hey, what is the tax deed say? They're going to give you the date. And then you're going to say, what happens to properties that didn't sell at the tax deed sale? They're going to say one of two things. A, they might say, well, we don't have any. Or B, they'll say, well, we have a list, and basically those go into the county inventory, which is called the over-the-counter property. So at that point, you want to ask them, okay, how do I get the list? And they'll say, well, I can email it to you. Or they'll say it's on our county website. You get the link. Now, sometimes it was like Josh was saying before, was the harder the list is to get, the better it's going to be. So for example, if they want to charge you 40 or 50 bucks for the list, that is awesome, because what that means is very few people are going to be basically forking up the money for that list. And we hear it all the time. They're like, what? Hey, I wanted to go and get the list, but they wanted to charge me $50 for it. So screw that. And then we say, well, that's going to be an amazing list because everybody's going to be all offended like you are and not get that list. So those can be really good lists. Or if you call the county and they're like, oh, we don't do tax deed sales. Sometimes those are great as well, because you call back, talk to somebody else, and say sheriff sale, and they'll hook you up. So in the description, we give everybody the starter pack, which is all of the county phone numbers. And Minnesota, what I can tell you, in the smaller counties, has lists available literally today that you guys can go and get started with.
Okay, so here is bid for assets, and it's just bidforassets.com. If I come here to the home screen, you got sheriff sales, foreclosures, Philadelphia sheriff sales. So that's going to be our specialty channel there on Bid for Assets. And they do have a nice little welcome video there from the sheriff. And then you've got tax foreclosure auctions along with mortgage foreclosure auctions. So we're going to go ahead, click on tax foreclosure auctions. And if I show you the calendar right here, you can see that there's actually they have a ton of auctions each month. So there was 3 there in the month of July. We focused on this one, and we really like the ones that are on the 3rd Wednesday of the month, 1, 2, 3. These auctions actually have open bids of $1,600. And so these properties, you cannot go back, but let me show you the 3rd Wednesday, August. So the next one, so we go to the 3rd Wednesday, there it is. There's 109 properties that are available. Yeah, you'll notice that the opening bid is capped at $1,600. And so the bulk of these actually have a way, way higher balance for taxes. Just to show you an example, and no reserve. So these are going to sell for, if one person bids on this for $1,600, they're going to sell it for $1,600. And let me just show you as an example. This is OPA. This is property assessment, and I can see the parcel right there. And so sometimes, but they will say that there's a house on it, but that's not always the case. It may even be getting taxed as if there's a house on it, and it could just be a piece of land. But let me go ahead and show you the tax balance on this. So they actually owe $8,650. We got an assessed value of around 100 grand. And so the opening bid truly is $1,600. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, $1,600. And so from there, it's going to go up as high as people are willing to bid. It could go as low as possible, but they are willing to take a loss on these profits, which is pretty awesome. We go ahead and look at the other auctions that are happening. Those ones are done by different attorney groups. So Linebarger and GRB, they also do auctions here. So if we come to the 12th, you're going to notice that the opening bid is, August 12th. Yeah, much higher, right? So some of these are 41,000, 10,000, 4,300. So this is more of an accurate representation of what is actually owed to the county. And so Linebarger and GRB are both trying to get these numbers as close as possible to the actual amount. We go here on Friday, the 29th, to see the GRB. Same thing. So really great opportunity here to be able to scoop up some really good deals. One of our students, they bought something for 9 grand, and the actual true amount of back taxes was $108,000. And it's worth like maybe $45,000, 45, 50 grand. So there's no way anybody's going to be able to buy that, right? And so it's pretty great that we have this opportunity right now to literally buy these from anywhere in the country, really the world. If you get an American business, US LLC, and they can get dialed in and do this, from any country. And so there's so many properties here, and there's a lot of stuff that you need to pay attention to. And so you want to make sure that you're very familiar with the rules. Not everything gets wiped at these sales. So it really depends on what's in the lawsuit and the court record, but the taxes are pretty safe. A lot of the stuff with the code enforcement is safe, and water liens and things like that, but just a little bit of extra caution because they can get out of hand. Even properties that are just vacant lots, we've seen like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in water liens, which is pretty whack, right? And how are you going to get $8,000 in water liens for a vacant property that has no house? And so we're always just on the lookout for kind of all of these interesting, odd things that the county does and become aware of them. But you'll find rules here, how to participate, a lot of stuff like that. There's a ton of tutorials, which is super helpful, but as always, buyer beware, because they're not going to get into the nitty gritty. They're not going to get into if commercial trash liens are going to be wiped, if they're going to be wiped or not. And on our YouTube channel, we did address this before. So if you are interested in Philadelphia auctions, go watch our title video that we did recently. We showcased what a court record looks like in Philadelphia, but there's a ton of opportunity here. And each month we do virtual auctions together. And we've seen really good deals in the year 2025.
There's some amazing opportunities there. And the other cool thing about Philly in some of these auctions is the fact that you can actually do almost like a wholesale thing where you can assign the winning bid. So there's a lot of leverage available in these auctions, especially the Philly ones. And here's what I mean is you put down 10% and then what is it, Josh? 14 or 30 days until you pay.
You got about 15 days.
Yeah, so you have 15 days. So let's run this scenario. Let's say there's a house and it's worth 100,000 and maybe you get it for 20 cents on the dollar, 20 grand. So what that can mean is you'll put down $2,000 because you bid 20. But the cool thing is you can assign the bid, which is great. So if you played it smart, you could find a 100K house, maybe win the bid for 20 grand. You put down $2,000, but then you can assign your winning bid to somebody else. So say you want to make a quick 20 grand, you find a buyer for 40, then you assign it to them. They give you a $20,000 assignment fee, then they pay off the lien, and you just basically made yourself $20,000 with $2,000 of capital, which is very cool. Now, obviously, you need to be careful and make sure you're finding a good property, which is part of the research. So I want to walk you guys through some of the counties in Minnesota that will have some more tax liens available starting right now. Only start with tax liens if you have at least 40 to 50 grand, in my opinion, because your capital is going to be tied up for up to 2 to 3 years. Let's take a look at New York.
Okay, so I never have heard of this before, but this is what it used to be called, was a leftover list. And so if you Google or you search like county held, over the counter, unsold, anything like that, I wasn't finding it. But then all of a sudden tried leftover list, and look at that. Now, this is the catch though. It's actually paused due to recent changes in NYS real property law. But the thing is if you stay on top of this, there may be a day that all of a sudden they start doing these auctions again. And that happened in one of the Dakotas. They stopped doing things for, 3 years. And all of a sudden they picked it back up again. And there was tremendous opportunity available for those who were keeping tabs. And so just looking at some of these really quickly, a lot of them look like vacant land, but I ain't seen like 6.4 acres, 1.5 acres. And so maybe it's available for like 4 grand or 15,000. Yeah, that's delinquent taxes as of May 1st, 2024. And so to be able to pick up 1.5 acres, 6.4 acres for $20,000 in New York that's a steal. And so it has paused. But finding this and knowing about it, this is something that you definitely want to keep tabs on. And then from there, I did find a surplus list. I got a lot of tabs open here. Maybe Dutchess, New York. So this may be something, and it won't stop to kind of do a deep dive into any of these, but these are some websites and just places for you to be able to look. This was another leftover list. Not sure if they're good or not, but we haven't really uncovered a lot of this before. This is in Allegheny, New York. And so if you target the right search words, you may have a much better chance of finding the right thing. It looks like Steuben County is online now. And so I'm not sure if they got some leftover things. But yeah, I recommend using the word leftover, seeing if that triggers some different websites or opens up some different avenues, because I've never heard it called that before. And so this is just a great example of interacting with us live on the stream, because otherwise you wouldn't have uncovered this information and be able to help.
How do you unload after you win the deeds without improving the property? Great question. So this is very important that before you buy a property, you have to think it through as far as what's the exit plan, what's the exit strategy on this thing. And you don't want to just buy junk. We see that all the time. Just because something says it's worth 80 grand and the opening bid is $500, Oh, is it a piece of junk? Is it burnt down? Is it an environmental hazard? So you make your money on the way in by looking at, okay, what are we going to do with this thing? So I have a sheet pulled up here right now. So I'm going to share my screen here. And I have several counties kind of by population that we're just going to go over. And the best thing you can do is take screenshots and then pair this with the information in the book. So we have Atkin County, population is 15,000. Let's see, 2025, anything not sold in the May auction will be offered starting June 2nd. So you can go here. Here's the county website, all that sort of stuff. You can go and start to look at that one. We have Cass County, population 30,000. And then from here, there's many small towns available. And you can often find very cheap lots of land in these areas. And they could be just a couple $100 and you could sell them for a few thousand. But we have Chippewa County, 12,000 people. Here's the phone number, 320-269-7447. This is what everybody should be doing right now, is taking action. Call them up, ask for the list. Now, they might be like, why are hundreds of people calling us? But hey, we're bringing in county tax dollars. So let's see, this is the treasurer's office number. We have Clearwater County, population 8,000. Here's the phone number, 218-694-6520. We have Cook County, 5,600. So remember, over-the-counter deeds is a game of elbow grease, all right? You don't have as much money to get started, but you work harder and get these lists. So we have an over-the-counter list right here, and then they're going to send you a list that's going to look like this.
So yeah, I think someone had asked about some advice or next steps. Yeah, so he's doing some homework in Maryland. That's right, OTC. So what you can do if you really want to find the gold beyond the gold, the gems beyond the gems, if you just make a list of counties in Maryland, you start searching online for county held stuff, over-the-counter stuff, any auctions or any counties that you can't find online, kind of just put a little asterisk next to that, a little star, and follow up with the county, because there's a lot of people who won't go beyond that for sure. But I would say stick with one place for a little bit before you move on to the next, because we could show you this other spot and this other spot and this other spot. And if you just go from one to the next and the next and the next and the next, you may not be able to sit still long enough to get that traction and momentum. But yeah, you can certainly make a list. Maryland's a great place to start. And any place you can't find, give them a call and see if they have a county held list. I think that's going to be a great use of time. And that could even be 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day. That's going to compound over the span of a week. Like even if you have literally no time, it could just be on your lunch break. We have students who have full-time jobs and they're just like squeezing the time out of the day and they're milking it, making the most of the opportunity. And one student got a property that's going to net return maybe a couple $100,000, which is actually life-changing. And so it's possible. And that little bit of time each day compounds for sure.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of this game. It is the research. One of the mistakes that folks make is they don't research. They see an open bid, they see the value, they just look on Google Streets and then they go buy. But they don't realize maybe they bought at wrong property. Or one of the great quotes that Josh says that I've never heard anybody else say in this industry is, just because a property is for sale at a tax auction doesn't mean it's a tax sale property. And for example, Texas is a great example because the sheriff, at the same time he's auctioning off the tax deeds, is auctioning off the homeowner association foreclosures. And they're mixed in there. And you need to be able to tell, because we've seen people who don't do deep dives or investigate. They literally just get the list. So the research is outlined in the book here, step by step, which is our checklists that we go through every single time. This thing started out, and it still is our own internal checklist when we're going to these auctions. So it's in the description below. Go grab it. Free gift for everybody, along with the tax lien and deed directories here. So you can just call them up and get down to business as well. But if you still feel you want more information or you want us to look at your properties, you can schedule a free call and we can see what it's like to work together.